But we talk about the one thing that you have to do perfectly is just live a step one. Admitting that you're completely fucking powerless, that you're a bitch when you go and fucking pick up because you can't stop the floodgates, and understanding and realizing that that addiction is more powerful than you. Then you come on to a step two, and then you admit that a God can restore you to sanity. And so, like, knowing that if I go pick up, no matter how I feel, if I want to change something, I'm going to be faced with the consequences the rest of my life to change the way I feel in the moment. Feelings are fickle. They're going to fucking change. Ride them out. You know what I'm saying? Feelings fucking change, dude.
Hey, everybody. I'm Eric Oberembt, and you're listening to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We talk about real shit, what's on our minds, and don't give a fuck if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for some real shit. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberembt, back here at D2D Con 7. Very exciting show today. I talk about this all the time. I do these shows so that I can get to know people a little bit better, so that you can get to know people a little bit better. And so I reached out to this gentleman because we have needed to connect for a really long time, and we have not been able to make it happen. So I bring a bunch of shit and set it up at a conference so that people want to come sit down and talk to me. So that's literally the reason we're here. So I'm going to introduce my guest, Luke Ward. Luke, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the reach out.
Absolutely. So real quick, I don't know if you watched any of our stuff, but we try to dig really fast into who you are now, but I really want to get back to who you used to be so we can circle back to figure out how the fuck you got here, right? So tell everybody real quick what you do now and kind of who Luke is.
My name's Luke Ward. I work out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I sell solar. So I run a team, manage a team, have a call center, also an alarm company in California.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Which do you like better?
Solar, dude.
Yeah.
Sure. I hate alarms.
Do you?
I hate them.
How long have you had that?
Since I opened the business in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you kind of hands-offy that one.
I have a guy that runs the dealership, and I just take 5% of the gross profits.
Oh, okay.
So I hands off, don't do shit. If you ask me for an alarm, I'll tell you I can't help you. Sorry, bro. You could go. There's Vivint down the street or whatever, you know.
When'd you get into solar?
I got into solar in May of 2020.
Oh, okay. What
COVID.
led you down that path?
It was a great story. So I had an alarm company, obviously, and most of our production came out of California. So I was living in Arizona and traveling to California every 2 weeks or so. And then COVID happened, right? And they started shutting down California. Couldn't breathe.
Right.
And one of my guys got arrested knocking doors, in fact, in March of 2020. So I came back to Arizona. I had ran into the guys I work for now. I had ran into them in January. So I took my kids to this place called Main Event where you have bowling and laser tag. And they were having a big party there. And I incidentally ended up talking to Tyler McAllister, the owner of the company. And he's a great guy. He's like, yeah. I was like, hey, I have 8,500 customers in California I want to sell solar to. I have all their information.
Right.
Like detailed information. It's the data's oil. And he's like, well, yeah, you can come on and maybe we can do it. So I was entertaining the idea of just getting a solar relationship so I could target my existing alarm customers.
Makes sense.
And then COVID happened, and I came over here and I was working in Arizona. We just were working in Arizona. And then April happened, and they shut down Arizona. You couldn't breathe. Started locking you down, and I realized at that point I was kind of a little bit nervous. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was scared. I was like, "What am I going to do?"
Right.
Government's not. They gave me a little bit of money, but I mean, what am I going to do? Where's my livelihood? Where's my purpose?
Yeah.
What about my guys? And so I ended up just doing a bunch of training because there was a bunch of training you had to do to get the license or whatever. And then they had a dialer, so they had a phone dialer. Now I have never done a dialing system, never made cold calls ever before. Knocking doors, yes, but never done cold calls. I started just hammering on the dialer. I didn't know how a solar panel worked. I didn't know how we got paid. I didn't know shit about it. But I did a bunch of training up until that point, and I just kind of faked it till I made it, and ended up landing 5 accounts that first month.
Really?
And I saw the money value for a solar deal versus alarm deal, and I realized at that point I could probably make more money just being a sales rep than even owning an alarm company.
Okay.
So that was in April. Cleared it, kind of faked my way through it, did a lot of training and stuff to be able to know what I was doing.
And doing it all on the phone.
Yeah, no, I would make the dial, and a couple of them I went out to their house. I was like, hey, can I come to your house? I don't want to sit doing it over the phone. It's
right.
ridiculous.
Right.
It's stupid. And so I went out to the house and I ended up closing. I closed the first 8 deals that I've ever in solar. And so
wow.
You gotta understand, I didn't even know how a solar panel worked, didn't know anything about it. And somehow I was able to leverage that to be able to have some success.
Oh.
And then I came in on May and I was Nose to the grindstone.
All in.
All in, yeah.
Yeah, because what company are you with?
Fusion Power.
Fusion Power, okay. And you've been with them since 2020. That was the company then. Okay.
Yep.
And so what got you... I want to hear about Luke before he's fucking Luke.
Yeah.
Right? I want to know, people that listen to this show expect to hear about where we fucked up, right? Because we don't learn anything, we all know this, unless we learn from our mistakes, right?
100%.
And
greatest teacher.
Whenever I get on a stage, whenever I coach, whenever I teach, whenever I do anything, I never tell anybody what I did fucking awesome. I tell everybody what I fucked up.
Yeah.
Because that's what, if they can shut up and listen to that, then they can actually learn something and maybe save a little bit of time and money and heartache and all the shit that we had to go through, right? Still need to make their own mistakes, but you don't need to make the same ones that I did, maybe, right? So tell me a little bit about that, about who was young Luke. Did young Luke get in trouble a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, bro. So, like...
That's who I connect with, by the way.
What do we have, a month? Because I can go through the list of
my best friends and the best sales guys are drug dealers, went to jail, like that. Those are the people that I connect with that are my friends.
That's my story. So
great. All right, we're going to be best friends.
Grew up in a single-parent household with a single mom. Didn't know my dad. My dad was out of the picture. He left us when I was 2. And so, I got some trauma stuff. And then my mom tried to do the best she can, but she's a fucked up individual too, right?
Yep.
So she's got a bunch of childhood trauma from her past, and growing up in there, always like having this, less than feeling, and always wondering, like, where's my dad? Why isn't my dad in the picture? Always feeling like it was my fault. Like, why didn't I wasn't even worthy enough for him to stick around. And so those thoughts and those feelings kind of propelled me to make a bunch of bad decisions. And so, very early on, getting in trouble in school, getting kicked out of school, started getting kicked out of school 5th grade, 6th grade, getting in fights and stuff. Yep, 5th grade. I pulled the fire alarm in kindergarten, dude. I tell my kids about it because we laugh about it. But yeah, I pulled the fire alarm in kindergarten, and they said they were going to call my mom, and I sat by the phone because I was going to try and, no, she's not here. And anyways, but 5th grade, and then I found my solution. My solution was drugs, and so I found my solution in when I was like 6th grade, so 12 years old. I found my solution. It worked really well. It was a very good solution for a while. Until
in 6th grade, what drug?
Marijuana, yeah.
Okay.
So marijuana, drinking and stuff. But dude, if you would have given me heroin, I would have done it at that point right there. I mean, there's no reason. I wouldn't have been like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. I was like open to anything. I've always been really rebellious by nature, and I think that's an asset at this point in my life. But at that point in my life, I was heading in the wrong direction. And so I found the drugs. The drugs were my solution. First time I ever did drugs, I felt like I solved the problem. The problem was in my brain.
Yeah.
The problem was my thinking. And so, and then through that, I started graduating to bigger and better drugs. Ended up doing meth. And then I ended up starting to go to jail.
Meth is a motherfucker.
Yeah, bro. It's hard.
Man, how long people don't do meth for a long time?
Yeah,
right.
You don't get a long. The people that do meth for a long time, they don't have teeth.
Nah,
their faces they look like ghosts. They're just like,
dude. I literally was at dinner the other night. It was me, Tim, and Taylor, a friend of mine, and he's sober, I'm sober, and we were just kind of telling old war stories and whatever. And we were telling stories like, I remember I was a big Coke guy, like fucking love Coke, and I remember my dealer came up and all he had was this bag of shit that I didn't. I'm like, that's not Coke. Like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, why can I see through it? Like, that's ridiculous. He's like, well, that's ice. And I was like, well, that sounds amazing. And I was like, I don't think I really want that. And he did the whole, he did the close, right? He turned around, walked away, and was like, well, if you don't want it. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't say I didn't want it. Like, come on back. And I remember fucking beating that up. I needed a hammer to beat that shit up and then take that first rip of that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna die, like immediately. I thank God that I did not get any more of that, right? Like that's not one that you can go for a long time on.
Well, the good news about it, though, in comparison to drinking, like you'll hit your bottom a lot faster. So I belong to a 12-step fellowship. There's multiple 12-step fellowships there, but the one I belong to, it's not focused on drugs. It's focused on the disease of addiction, but we focus on just generalized stuff. But what you find in the alcohol program versus the other program I belong to, the alcohol program, the bottoms are like they lost their freaking job, dude. Listen, my fucking bottom was like homeless dereliction, eating out of dumpsters, fucking saving my money to go back because I wanted to go. When I went back to prison, I could buy a television the next time. That was
so. How long was that? Or you were homeless?
Yes. So I started being homeless at like 16, in and out of jails, 13, 14, 15, 16, in and out of jails. And then I made a geographical move. I moved. My dad finally came in my life. My mom was like, hey, this guy's causing so much problems. He's going to be a ward of the state. That means this means a kiddie jail, a kiddie prison, not a jail.
Yep.
And so she got a hold of him, and I moved out from Idaho to Oregon, and Oregon's a much more liberal state. In fact, I think drugs are legal at this point.
Probably.
So I went out there, and then, dude, just the progression of the disease. Homeless at 16, and then I ended up finally being a ward of the state. I went up kiddie jail for a year and a half and stuff when I was 16, got out when I was 17, and the saga just continued. And my life was really one of just using long enough to when I got back to prison, I would get clean, and then I would come back out, and I didn't know any other way to live.
Did you go to grown-up prison too?
Yes,
then? Okay.
yeah. So then I was 18, buddy. Then I graduated when I was 18. And of course, I just do what I've always done, and I always get caught. So I think God really looks out for me, because left to my own devices, left without unchecked, like left without the severe consequence going to jail or prison, dude, I would kill myself like very easily. So I graduated to heroin. I was doing heroin, coke, and I was mixing all three. I mixed heroin, coke, and meth. And so like it's this perpetual problem, and it was the same shit all the time. And the insanity was going one step further than you hear the analogy. Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. I knew what the results were. I was willing to pay the price for what I wanted now, knowing what it would lead to. And so ended up going in and out of jail for forever. And then I went to the big boy prison. I got out. I only did a year in prison, and then they let me out. And then
what was
I did
that
good.
For?
Delivery of controlled substance.
Okay.
Delivery of controlled substance. So I sold drugs to buy drugs. That was my game. I wasn't one of those baller drug addicts, too. People were like, I was such a big baller. I was selling kilos and shit. I was like, dude, that wasn't me. I sold enough so I could get high.
So I could pay my phone.
And I was willing to be homeless because that left more money for drugs, dude. So,
fair.
A couple times, the whole story, sometimes I got a house at one point. I got an apartment when I first got out of prison. But, it was the same story over and over again, continuing to perpetuate the same mistakes over and over and over again. And eventually I went to the prison for a long time. I went to prison for 2 years, right? And in the prison, I stayed clean. The first time I went to prison, though, I found a relationship with God. I got religious God, right? I didn't get the personal relationship. Right. Got a religious God.
Yep.
And you can only hold a religious God for so long because it's like you're earning your way to heaven. I felt like I had to earn my way to heaven. And so, and then I got out, and then I fucked up again. And I'm like, dude, you failed me. And then I completely denied any aspect of that higher power. And then I ended up once again going on a runner and getting a bunch of new charges. I collect felonies in clusters, so I get like 3 at a time. So, manufactured, delivered, controlled substance is what I get. And then they let me out. In Oregon, dude, if you get delivery, controlled substance, they let you out the next day.
Sure.
Like, oh, you got in trouble? Okay, here you go. And then what are you going to do?
Same fucking thing.
Yeah, bro, you're going to go back to my bread and butter. I sell drugs to get drugs. Yeah. So I accumulated all these felonies in a really short period of time. And anyways, I went back to prison, got into prison, let me out of prison in Idaho, extradited me back to Oregon because I collect felonies and clusters in multiple states. Let me out, went back to Oregon, got extradited back to Oregon, just got out of prison, was like, dude, I was homeless. It was the worst, like, thinking about it. I was living in a window well of this dentist's office.
What?
And I had to wake up before 8 because the dentist's office would open up, and if they saw you, they would call the cops, right? That was my existence, and I would hustle all day to get my dope, and then I'd do my dope, and I would just be isolated all alone. Sometimes I'd find some losers to hang out with, but normally it was just isolated alone, and I ended up going to jail again, got in jail, and this is the pivotal point of my life. I was in jail, only been out of prison for a year, and I hit my knees, and you know what I said? I was like, God, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to live. You have to show me how to live. I can't continue to live like this, please. And it was a plea for mercy, right? And I pleaded and I begged and I said, I can't continue to live like this. And I got out of jail. And what did I do? I went right back. But here was the beginning of my story. Went right back to got high, and then I went back to Idaho because I could live in the lower level suite of my mom's house, otherwise known as the basement. And I went back to my mom's house, and I was working with a guy. I started getting a job roofing, not selling roofs, but roofing. Shoveling snow off the frickin' roofs, burning it off with a fucking weed burner, and then doing the job, dude. And like 7, 8, 12 roofs, right?
Yep.
And I was working with this guy, and he said he'd been clean for 7 years. I was like, you're full of shit. What did you smoke weed? You use on the weekends, bro. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, no, I've been clean for 7 years. I was like, do you do pills? Do you do pills? Like, it was beyond me. Like
it doesned sound possible.
To think about somebody. Yeah, it was beyond possible. So ended up, he was just getting in my ear a little bit, and I had some hope, and I had some faith in that, and And then the last time I used, I was got a bag of dope. I was in my mom's house, or the lower level suite, the basement, and I did some drugs, and I did a blast, and then I was thinking, man, this isn't working anymore. And I discovered that really the drugs were the solution for a long time until they became a bigger problem than what I was trying to mask.
Right.
And then I wandered myself down to this meeting. I knew this meeting took place. I walked in the snow, didn't have a car, didn't even have a fucking license. I was 26 years old. And I walked out of this meeting, and I went into that meeting, and I was high as fuck. And in the preamble in the meeting, they say, if you've used today, do not share. Listen and talk to somebody after the meeting. I missed that because I was late.
Oh, fuck.
And I opened it up, but I opened it up, and I didn't just fucking babble. I said, listen, my life is, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
I can't stop using. I go to jail. I'm saving up enough money right now. When I get back to prison, I could buy a television because I didn't get one the first time. I said, my life is a poor example of existence, and I can't continue to live like this. And it was a plea, another plea. And some people came up to me after the meeting. They're like, hey, here's my number. Hey, we're going to play poker tomorrow night. Do you want to come? And I'm like, what? I have no social skills. Literally, at 26 years old, I have no social skills. My social skills are a combination of the streets and prison, dude, which are both terrible, terrible social skills.
Yep.
And so I ended up, I made a decision. I was like, okay, I'm not going to use tomorrow. And I ended up going down to go and play poker with these people, really super fucking uncomfortable. And I felt really weird.
Yep.
And I was like, how the fuck are these people just hanging out, not drinking, not doing drugs? This is
and
fucking
laughing.
weird. And like, trust me to be in their house. You're lucky I don't fucking steal from your ass, man. Because if I'm using, I'm going to go into your medicine cabinet. I'm going to sneak in your bedroom. I'm going to rip you off. And since that day, it was November 18th of 2006, I've been clean. And the evolution of my life is I'm living a life beyond my wildest dreams as a result of making that decision and then doing the work that was necessary to change my life.
How did I not know that you were sober? You're sober?
Yeah, bro, I don't do shit.
Okay, yeah, I don't know how I didn't know that.
I don't fucking do the alcohol maintenance program. I don't do the weed maintenance program.
Fucking
I do
California
nothing.
sober bullshit.
I don't do anything, bro. I straight stone cold sober and don't touch anything.
That's crazy that I didn't know that. Like, I mean, because that's like who I am and all I talk about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's a powerful story that. So what I've realized though, since my experience is just like your experience, Eric, is that we have this shit. We have this fucking garbage of our life. And we change our life around, and now our message is hope and freedom.
Right.
And it's our responsibility to share that hope and that freedom with everybody out there that's struggling. Letting them know, like, listen, what are you doing right now? Like, where's your life at?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have the life I had with going in and out of prisons and homelessness, but maybe you're like getting high and it's creating a lot of unmanageability in your life. Maybe that's your bottom. You don't have to go to fucking prison.
Right.
You don't have to go to like living in a window fucking well in Eugene, Oregon. You don't have to do that. You can make a decision right now that will change the trajectory of your life. And so that's what I've been doing.
It was amazing. When you told that story, I had a flashback kind of to one of my moments where I was, and I've told this story a million fucking times, but I lived in this little house, just got divorced, and it was my 30th birthday, and we'd been out all night, and then I had like a little party back at the house, right? Maybe 30 people in the house, and I had a big round glass table. And so we were playing snakes on the table, right? Making big fat fucking lines, and you'd go as far as you could till you threw up or died, right? Yeah. Whatever came first. And I remember I was playing snakes, and I got halfway through, and I started to fucking gag. And I had this moment, and this is like 100% fucking true. I had this moment where all the music went away, and all the people went away. And I'm not like religious guy, any of that. And I looked up at the fucking ceiling, and I went, how do I make this stop? And then I looked back down, music came back, people came back, and I finished that fucking line, right? And finished the night. And I had no intention of changing anything. I had no intention of change. Oh, Lexi,
make your way over to the main stage.
You can cut this and fucking edit it when this is done.
Those of you who have entered into the
I get so mad when this fucking happens.
Head over to room A for a workshop with Sam Taggart.
So everything comes flooding back in to the room, and I had no intention of like changing anything in that moment, and I didn't know what was going to happen, obviously. And it was 6 months later when I ended up getting my fourth offense felony DUI.
Damn.
That put me in jail. I narrowly dodged drug charges because I was selling drugs, and I had a bunch of teeners in my truck that I was selling that night. I somehow accidentally sold all of them, and I didn't know it. The cop was like, "Do you want the $1,000 in your middle console?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I sold all my drugs."
Damn.
And I was like, "I'm going to jail for a hot second, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're not like getting out tonight." And I was like, "I'll take that for commissary then." And so I took the money, and I went in, and but that I didn't realize it in the moment, right? But like that was what I asked for.
Yep.
Right? I asked for something to happen, and keep in mind, I still didn't stop, right? I got out of jail a few days later, and I kept fucking going, right? It was another 3 months before I agreed to go get help, and I agreed to go to treatment, and I agreed to like be open to listen to somebody that knew some shit that I didn't know, right? But we all have to have that we don't all have to have that moment, but I feel like it definitely expedites where you can get to if you can have that moment.
Well,
right?
I think it sets up the circumstances that will help us make better decisions. So, like, pain is a great motivator. You mentioned something about mistakes and stuff that we have.
Mastermind group. Go ahead and head on over to room A.
All right, you already said that, buddy. Come on.
The snake oil tournament. Head over to
Snake oil tournament. So we have these pivotal moments these painful moments, and you were mentioning in the beginning, like your mistakes and stuff are really what have. You've learned the most for. I learned the most out of pain, right? Pain is a great motivator. Pain is the greatest teacher. Now, I don't like pain. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like it, but there's a silver lining in every single painful moment. And sometimes when you have that painful moment or that epiphany where you're like, listen, how do I get this to stop? I think now we're starting asking for help, and then we start changing the trajectory of our lives as a result of circumstances. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it whatever mystical force you want. I choose to call it God.
Yep.
And that's really making that plea for help, and then going out and still getting high, and then running into this guy. I don't believe in coincidence. Coincidence is full of shit, dude. There's fucking stuff that happens for a reason. Running into a guy I'm working with just as out of just sheer coincidence, you'd say. I end up running into this guy. He's telling me he's been clean for 7 years, bro. He planted a seed, and then that seed allowed me to know, to have some sort of hope that I could change my life. And so that's what happened. And then, I got clean, and it hasn't been fucking easy. The first year was hard as fuck.
First year is a motherfucker, isn't it?
First year was hard. There was a point in time, like I remember I was 2 months clean. My feelings were hurt. My feelings were very... the problem with me is I was a really sensitive person, and so I would always get my feelings hurt, and I was always feeling less than. I call it listening to K-Fuck Radio, right? This is what it's called, K-Fuck Radio. What does K-Fuck Radio say? I'm a piece of shit. I'm ugly. I'm all these other things, all of these list of things. And the thing about K-Fuck Radio, it knows me pretty well. Mm-hmm. And it feeds me all these lies. And when I'm listening to K-Fuck Radio, I'm in a terrible state. And I'm looking for a solution because I just wanted to turn the fuck off. And early on in recovery, I didn't have any tools to turn K-Fuck Radio off. So it blared all the time. There was a point in time, about 2 months clean, my feelings were hurt. I was going to go to the bar. That's it. I was just going to go to the bar. On the way up the stairs, and then I had a meeting list, and I fucking started calling the list of numbers. Yep. I just started on that list, saved my life, but just a little ounce of willingness allowed me to not go back out. Who knows what my life would be like today? If you'd even have one. I'd probably be dead. I'd be dead in prison. I know that I would. And the other thing with that, with pain and even in trauma, what I really appreciate about it is it's also the thing that connects us. Yeah. Right. And I was doing an interview yesterday with Dee, and we were talking about connection. And when I get to have a conversation with somebody like you, and I literally had chaired a meeting the other night, and I was talking about this, and I was like, the pain and the trauma that we all went through is what binds us, right? Yeah. It's what brings us together. The vulnerability out of the pain and the suffering that we've went through that really connects us all.
Yeah, and
everybody goes through that.
And if you can't have those conversations with people, and you're not able to offload some of it, it ends up staying with you for so long, and something bad will generally happen, right? And we've been given this gift, and we've been given this tool of a fellowship that we can have conversations, right? I literally, I'm embarrassed to fucking say it, I did not know any of that about your story today. Mm-hmm. And just sitting here having that conversation, I feel so much closer just to you as a human, because we shared that together, not at the same time, not in the same city, not in the same state. We didn't get fucked up together, right? Mm-hmm. But I know your pain,
right?
I know what you went through. You know what I went, we felt some of the same shit, and it gives people an opportunity to connect on that. And that's a gift that we were given, as long as we're willing to put in the work, that other normal people don't get a have. And that's why I am a grateful recovering alcoholic, right? Yeah. Like that's why I do believe that statement. When I'd hear other people say that in the beginning, I'm like, you're a crazy motherfucker. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who the fuck is grateful for being a drug addict and a fucking alcoholic? And it took however many years it took, right? I mean, I'm at 14 years now. Yeah. And it took me a long time to understand what that really meant. Right? I mean, like, now I get it, though. Like, I am grateful for all of that shit, right? Because because what it made me today, but because of the relationships that I get to build now from it, right?
Your mess becomes your message. So I talk about this a lot. I talk about through our pain and our struggle is really how we identify. Like when someone comes out there and I did this and I did that and I'm a big achiever, most people are going to be some sort of resentful because we're going to look at our own selves like, I didn't do that. I had to struggle. Where we really identify is with some sort of vulnerability. Now, I struggle with that. Now, in meetings, I can get vulnerable, but in large crowds, we always peacocking, dick fucking measuring contests. You know what I'm saying? That normally happens. But what I've really come to realize at the age I am now is the identification with the struggles. And even if their story's different, everybody has some sort of pain, especially addicts, alcoholics, right? We have the same feelings. I was fucking homeless living in a window well. You're in a fucking teeny tiny house, but the feelings were identical.
There's loneliness.
Loneliness, absolute, utter loneliness. Even if I was a crowd full of people, I'd still feel utterly lonely and less than. And all of the feelings and stuff that resonate with that. So, like the idea with this is now.
And they can still creep today.
Yep. Well, they do, but I have tactics and skills
exactly.
today. Dude, I do not. When that shit comes into my head. So we have K-Fuck radio, which is negative self-talk, right? Which kind of like, you can't do that. You fucking never do this. You're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And it makes us scurry down. Now, instead of, I turned down K-Fuck, and I put on K-Love, right? This is the difference. And this is through years and years of work, step work, working on myself, personal development, all of the stuff that I've done to make myself better. It's a continual thing to work on myself, to better myself, and to have more tactics and skills and tools that I can implement when K-Fuck radio starts blaring, because I don't want to listen to that shit. That shit, I know what happens when I turn that shit on. Guess what happens? I feel like shit, and then I want to act out. I want to do something to change the way I feel, and drugs were immediate, so they were really effective at doing that. But now when I feel like that, I turn that shit down and I put on some of the other fucking tapes that I've worked with that I've been able to collect over the years that I've been clean. Now, that didn't happen in the fucking first year, bro. I was a fucking wreck. People were like, dude, who is this fucking guy? They were making bets that I wouldn't stay clean, right? Yep. I mean, people are like, this guy's not fucking stay clean. There's no fucking way.
No way.
They called me the resentment king when I first got here because I was a fucking resentful motherfucker, bro. I'd want to beat people's asses in meetings, bro. I was a fucking wreck. Still a wreck today, but I've improved a little bit. But, the identification has come through, realizing and understanding that I have a group that I belong to that we can all identify with the pain and the struggle. And usually people will identify with the pain and the struggle more than they're going to identify with the successes. If I'm like, I fucking make $2 million last year, I'm a fucking baller, I have $1 million home, I have a fucking all the stuff I want, I'm living life beyond my wildest dreams. When I tell that to people, they're like, well, that's not me. They're thinking about their inadequacies. They're like, well, I didn't do that, and I want that, but I didn't do that. But when I'm telling, I'm fucking homeless, I was eating out of dumpsters, I was living in a fucking window well. They're like, well, I wasn't that, but I could see where he had a lot of pain and struggle. And so, my journey through recovery, I'm not the poster boy of a fucking 12-step program, bro. I got arrested twice in recovery. I punched a couple dudes.
Did you really?
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I'm a wreck sometimes, bro. I have a temper sometimes, and so sometimes I act out impulsively and compulsively. And I've had sponsors. I've worked all the way through the steps. I've taken people through the steps. But my recovery has been anything but perfect. But the one fucking common denominator is I haven't picked up no matter fucking what. Yeah. And we talk about, and I'm going to get 12-step a little bit here, but we talk about the one thing that you have to do perfectly is just live a step one. Admitting that you're completely fucking powerless, that you're a bitch when you go and fucking pick up because you can't stop the floodgates. Yep. And understanding and realizing that addiction is more powerful than you. Then you come on to a step two, and then you admit that a God can restore you to sanity. And so, knowing that if I go pick up, no matter how I feel, if I want to change something, I'm going to be faced with the consequences the rest of my life to change the way I feel in the moment. Mm-hmm. Feelings are fickle. They're going to fucking change. Ride them out. You know what I'm saying? Feelings fucking change, dude. So, part of my story is realizing the feeling's a feeling, man. Who fucking cares? It's not going to kill me. Mm-hmm. But drugs will. If I go fucking get high, I go drink to change the way I feel, I can fucking die.
Yep.
And I would die. If I go pick up today, bro, I'm not the guy that's like, oh, I'll have one sip because my wife drinks and shit. Yeah. You're like, so fucking see her drink. I fucking can't do that. She's blessed. She can have one drink, and I'm like, you're not going to finish that? What the fuck's your problem?
What's wrong with you?
What are you doing? Finish the whole fucking drink,
right.
But kind of the whole aspect of this is just having that knowing that if I go back out to that way of life, and since I've been in recovery, man, I get to live life on my wildest dreams, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that has happened in my recovery that let me be who I am today. If I would have never picked up and I would have been like my family, the best I could have had was maybe owning a house in Idaho Falls, Idaho, which is fucking freezing ass cold, maybe a $120,000 house, going to fucking work every day, working 8 hours a fucking day, coming home and being fucking miserable, dude, because that's not my life's purpose, right? And that's the best I could have had coming from the family that I came from, right? That's the best I could have had. Very rare you see people rise above that, you know what I'm saying? And so as a direct result for having a shitstorm of a life, dude, I've been blessed with the shitstorm because it's allowed me to, one, be fucking grateful. I was talking about the job, roofing. You sell roofs. I was fucking doing roofs.
Oh, I did them.
They didn't even tell me how awesome I was and make me the fucking foreman and make me the boss. They're like, dude, go fucking roof that. You get paid $17 a square and that's all you got fucking paid. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But the difference with what we get to do today, man, I'm eternally fucking grateful. You see these career sales guys that never had to fucking do laborious work.
None of them have.
They don't realize this fucking amazing opportunity that you have to go fucking walk around and talk to people and make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of fucking dollars.
Yep.
We're blessed with this amazing opportunity. But my gratitude comes in realizing and knowing the life I had before, whether it was dereliction and living on the streets, or whether it was even when I first got in recovery. I worked a construction job all the way up until fucking 2009, bro. I was a construction guy. I was a fucking roofer, bro, for 3 years. You know, like realizing like how hard I had to work for such little pay and what I get to do today. And so often in your organization, in my organization, I'm like, dude, you got to fucking knock 4 hours a day. What the fuck's your problem, dude? 4 hours.
Yeah.
Bro, you're going to make fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars working 4 hours a day. Go get a fucking job. You're going to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you're going to make $45,000 a year, dude. So we're blessed with this amazing opportunity to do what we do. I was blessed to come into this career as well. So, you know, like I get to take from my shitstorm and apply gratitude to what I get to do today. And so I think for guys like us that had the struggles and had to fucking and roofed or had to do this laborious work, when we get to do what we get to do today, we're eternally grateful for it. And we have a different perspective than the career sales guys. Than the guy that started selling was 15, 16, 17, 18. Love that life, not criticizing them, but the gratitude I have, I think, is far superior in comparison to the gratitude someone has been a career-long salesman his whole life.
100%.
And my guys that fucking come on, that kill it, usually did some fucking labor jobs, bro.
Yep.
And they realize how absolutely powerful this opportunity is.
What I've wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet, but I've wanted to make every new sales rep or canvasser that comes into my company work on a crew for 2 days.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. Hey, I'm gonna pay you fucking $100 a day, man. $150.
If you want this job, you go work with Jose for 2 days and carry fucking bundles and tear that motherfucker off, 100%. Just so that you can appreciate that. I told a story. There was a clip that went out a week or two ago when I did Bradley's podcast. Yeah, and I told this story about how, when I was a kid, my grandpa would have me show up at job sites. I was, 12, 13, 14 years old, and he'd have all the shingles delivered on the ground, and then he'd make me hand load
70 pounds of fucking bundle.
Yep, he'd make me hand load the fucking roof. And so then I found out that you could pay the supplier $50 to load the fucking shingles on the roof. So I said, Grandpa, I'm like, I'll pay $50 to have them load it on the roof. And he was like, absolutely not. This is your fucking job, and you're going to learn how hard it is so that you can appreciate how hard these guys work every fucking day when the day comes that you're telling them what to do. Yeah. So I told that story, right? And my media gal makes the clip, and like, it's a really good, it got huge views, right? Like people loved it for whatever reason. But then you get those assholes, right? You get the trolls and the fucking dipshits that comment and whatever. I was so shocked, though. Like, it doesn't affect me, but like, I was so surprised and shocked that there were so many people that were like, well, your grandpa was a fucking idiot and blah, blah, blah. Like, you should have, like, worked smart, not hard.
Valuable lesson on the planet. You're fucking retarded.
What kind of dude are you?
Well, it's dipshits, dude.
Isn't that crazy, though, that there's people that live in this fucking world, though, that are like that? Like, I almost feel sorry for them because they're like, they're mentally retarded, I think.
Well, they have K-fuck radio going on, and so their best way they can do is criticize someone else for doing what they've been doing and criticize and find all the faults and wrongs with others. But if you look at
their life, internal lives.
Oh, yeah.
They're criticizing the fucking out of themselves, bro. They're the they're the worst enemy.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that there's people out there like
I believe that story. Like, your fucking grandpa was a genius,
right?
Bro. He's like, fucking
go.
Goddamn, get up there and fucking carry the shingles up on the roof.
Yes.
It's hard-ass fucking work. You're going to learn the value of hard fucking work. You're going to learn what all these other people are doing, and that also will give you a massive amounts of gratitude being where you're at today, or even if you were just, just like even the foreman or some shit like that, you would have a massive amount of gratitude, and you'd know what it's like for the guys that put in the work.
I got to tell you one other one. That fucker, what he did to me. I love my grandpa. He raised me, right? He was my dad. I lived with him since I was 7. And he also, when it would snow, he'd make me go shovel the driveway. And so one year he went and bought a snowblower and had a snowblower sitting in the garage, and it fucking snows 8-10 inches or whatever. I go out there, start putting gas in the snowblower and shit, and he's like, "Fuck are you doing?" And I was like, I'm turning the snowblower on. Like, I'm going to go snowblow the driveway for you. He goes, "That's not your fucking snowblower." He goes, "That's my snowblower. You shovel the motherfucker. You ain't earned the right to use a snowblower yet." I'm like, son of a bitch.
So that's a guy that understands the value of teaching your kids hard work. I think he's a genius. He was way ahead of his time. I think that we kind of get, like, I baby my kids, bro. I should be doing more stuff like that than
boys or girls?
I have 2 boys and a girl.
Okay. How different is that? I have 1 little girl, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was a blessing that I had a girl, because it definitely brought me down.
Yeah.
Right, from the person that I was before, like very loud, very, you know what I mean, like motherfuck everybody.
Yeah.
I would have been way different with boys, right? Because I'd have been the rough fucking, like, learn your lesson, type of shit, just like my grandpa was to me.
Yeah.
But man, with her, how old's your little girl?
She is 7.
Okay, mine's 8. And I mean, I never knew that I was actually capable of murder. Yeah. Right? We all joke about it, like, kill that whatever, right? And it's a joke, right? Yeah. But then you have a daughter.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, I've been to jail. I can go back. I will fucking kill somebody for my daughter. Absolutely. It completely changes your mindset, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah. My daughter's just like me. My sons, my daughter's just like me.
Really?
She was born 2 days before me. I don't believe in astrological stuff, but dude, she's like all the same signs, the Chinese sign, the astrological sign, the zodiac signs. And dude, I got to tell you what, bro, like, she is the hardest. She fucking, dude, I'm scared because I'm like, oh man, when she gets 13, 14.
So my daughter and I were born on the exact same day.
Oh, she's going to be just like you, bud.
Yeah. So she was due. This is a true story. She was due the following week. Yeah. And we went to the OB, and my wife was there. Obviously, it wasn't just me at the fucking OB. That would have been weird. and I looked at the doctor, and I was like, "Hey, guy, I've actually got a golf tournament that weekend that she's due. Would you be cool if we shit her out the week before?" Oh fuck. And then if we do that, let's induce her the night before my birthday. Motherfuckers. If we give her my birthday and have her that day, I go, because she's going to grow up and hate me probably one day. Oh my God, motherfuck, I was telling a good story. Oil tournament. Fuck, that's loud. And starting. And so I was like, can we just give her my birthday? Because I know that she's going to grow up and she's going to hate me for a certain amount of time. But every year on her birthday, she's going to have to remember that it's our birthday, right? And I remember she was about 4, I think maybe, when she finally understood that we had the same birthday. And it was awesome because my wife would look at her and go, "Tegan, what kind of cake do you want for your birthday?" And she's like, "Our birthday, Mom? What does me and Daddy want for our birthday?" I'm like, "Fuck yes."
Dude, that's awesome.
Like, that worked out. Yeah, she is going to definitely be just like me. Thank God she doesn't look like me, but
you just hope that you instill some better principles and then you can share your mistakes. I share a lot of my mistakes with them. I tell them about the
I was going to ask that.
Story.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. They know I've been to prison. I mean, I tell them, I'm like, yeah, Dad made a lot of bad decisions. I was like, I was on drugs. And I was like, I kept going to prison. They know I've been to prison. I said, I share a lot of that stuff with them, and we won't know if that's appropriate until they grow up. But I share that stuff with them, so hoping that they don't have to make those same mistakes. I try to instill my parents. I didn't have a dad at all. There's no dad. Right. No, my mom didn't have boyfriends, bro. I had no man raising me. And so, I make it a very particular point to be able to make sure that I raise my kids and also teach them from my failures. Also teach them a mindset. I think that the mindset thing, most kids, we talk about, what do they talk about? what's the in a political structure where you're favored? What's that called again? Where you're favored, like, okay, come from a white family, from a black family.
Oh, privilege.
Privilege, yeah. Your privilege is a fucking mom and a dad, bro, and fucking money.
Right.
Money's always going to be privileged, and a fucking mom and a dad. If mom and a dad and you have fucking money, of course you're going to be privileged. It's not exclusive to your fucking skin. Get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous.
Correct.
But here's the thing. When we talk about some of that stuff, the biggest privilege you have is a mom and a dad. Even if they're poor, although the mindset poor is going to be teaching you bad stuff, but or not bad stuff, but just like the wrong trajectory. But you know, if you come from a family that has a mom and a dad, and you have money in your pocket, bro, that's the biggest privilege you're ever going to get.
And love.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Here's the thing I ask you though. I didn't come from that. Made a lot of fucking shit mistakes.
Yep.
My life today is one of, achievement as a result of my upbringing. So I fucking broke all those statistics because I should be probably in jail or fucking making a job. And I broke all those statistics as a result of being raised like that.
Right.
So kind of the conundrum I'm in is like, yes, you're privileged. You're going to have a better life. You're going to have a better understanding. You're going to be raised better. But which is better? I mean, which is going to be better? I think ultimately it comes down to the individual person making a decision to want something more.
I struggle this all the time because how much do we give and how much do we not?
Right.
Because they have to learn some of the same lessons that we learn, but I don't want them to have to learn them the same way that I learned
if you
them.
had a fucking son, you'd treat him just like your grandpa because your grandpa was a badass. Dude, that guy was a fucking badass. He like taught you lessons, bro, that have paralleled. You're telling me the stories right now, probably fucking 20, 30 years ago that this happened, right? But that lesson taught you something. And so ultimately, I think we could teach our kids lessons and hope they make good decisions. But it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. If you look at my walk of life, I was fucking underprivileged. I should have been a statistic, and I broke all those boundaries as a result of changing, making new decisions, and coming with new information.
I also tell my daughter about my past and everything. Like I want her to know. I don't want her to think I'm hiding anything, and I want her to learn, from it. And then she asked, "Well, why'd you go to jail?" And I was like, "Well, I had too much mommy drink." And so we call it mommy drink. But then what I didn't think about was that kids are going to go to school and talk to other kids and be like, did your dad go to jail?
Yeah. Dude, it might be that kid, bro. Here's the other thing, though. Your dad going to go to jail, but what the fuck's he doing today? Who's your dad today? What kind of a character does he have today? Like, where do you guys live? Like, I was always embarrassed, dude. I was like fucking the poor kid, bro. I didn't have enough money for clothes. I wore like the same clothes and stuff like 3 days a week, and I had another change of clothes. My shoes were always fucking holy. I went to a poor school, so that wasn't bad.
But then we get and then I don't know why I just thought of this, but then to piggyback that, my daughter then, so we moved to Texas, right? And I bought this nice, big, beautiful house, put in a pool, like whatever, right? And we came from where we lived in Nebraska, and we lived on a lake, and it was wonderful. So my wife wants to move back to Nebraska. We're moving back, and so we have to sell our house, and then we're going to build a house back there. Went and bought 10 acres, going to build a nice house. But so in the interim, we have to go rent a house, right? In a nice area, but not like, I don't like living in a neighborhood. I fucking hate neighbors. I hate people on top of me, like small yard, all that shit. But got to make sacrifice for 8 months while that's being built, right? Mm-hmm. And so now she goes, so how long are we going to be in the little house? And I'm like, you little fucking shit.
I tell my kids that shit all the time. I'm like, listen, you guys don't know how good you got it. I talk about growing up in poverty. I talk about my mom struggling. I talk about not having a dad. I make it a very important point. I'm like, listen, you guys don't understand this now because everything's relative.
Right.
You see life for what it is today. But let me just tell you, like, you guys have it good.
Yep.
You get fucking everything you want. You have, like, dude, you have everything you want as a direct result from me working hard.
Yep.
You get to reap the benefits because I'm a hard worker. And if one thing you learn is just to be a hard worker. And I think that a lot of times you see these people that are high performers or something, they didn't have these struggles and stuff because their parents fucking raised them right. And they caught on to the ideas and the concepts and stuff they instilled in them. And so they make good decisions. Now, how many of those people become high achievers? I don't fucking know. I just know my own fucking personal story, bro. I'm one from poverty, and now I'm fucking in a position where I'm not only changing my life, but I get to change the lives of millions of people just like you.
Yep.
You give them this opportunity, bro. We get to change people's lives as a direct result of this opportunity that we now know, and then we can take our experience and all our struggles, and we can be able to instill that in other people and give them this opportunity. Same thing with the kids. It's like I want to give the kids everything that, everything I didn't have. So sometimes fucking Christmas is like one fucking year they open up all the presents. They didn't even open up all the fucking presents because we gave them so many goddamn fucking presents, bro. Yeah. I'm like, you guys got it good. You don't even appreciate this shit.
We stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Like we I don't know, because we did that in the beginning, and like we had to stop doing it, and we're like, you get this many things, right? We know your family's going to spoil it and whatever, but like we throw away half the shit.
Yep. Because you don't use it. You got so many, fucking so many toys. They don't even open them up and look at them.
We literally had to stop fucking doing it, like so that she'd appreciate what she actually got.
Right.
You know?
I started doing that this year. So
Did you? Yeah.
Well, a little bit. They put a list, and I fucking got them everything on the list. So I mean. But we want to do that. We always want to do better than what we had, and sometimes we just do the best that we can. And we try to make these decisions and based on experience. My mom tried to do that. She came from a fucked up family as well. She tried to do a better job for us. She did the best she could, but for me, it was a fucked up family dynamics. The family origin is just fucked up. But we try to make good decisions. We try to make new decisions and try to give these kids what we want. But we got to be like your fucking grandpa, who's a genius.
Thank you.
And we got to realize. Like, kids need to have struggle. They need to realize the value of hard work. Kids need to be able to, have these things where they're actually going to realize and have a comprehension of how the fucking world works.
Yep.
Because if we give them everything they want, they're gonna be spoiled fucking brats.
Yep.
I don't want my kids to turn out like that. You don't want your daughter to turn out like that.
The thing that I got so happy with was I was worried as she was growing up that she wasn't going to be competitive like me and her mom, because she seemed like she was going to be a little bit softer.
Yeah.
And we got her into competitive soccer, and she plays golf with me now. And I was wrong. She lost. Like, we're in Texas, right? So like, it doesn't matter if you're 4 or 20. Like, you're playing to fucking win, right?
Yeah.
And she lost a soccer game at 8 years old. And she got so mad. This wasn't correct. Like, we had to correct her on this. But she got so fucking mad that she walked off the field, and my wife coaches, walked off the field. My wife's like, you have to go over there and get in line and shake hands. She's like, I'm not shaking anybody's hand.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, she's us.
Yeah.
She's us.
I think the competitive spirit in kids are an asset. My boys, nah, they're not fucking competitive. My daughter, dude, she's a spitting.
So does that drive you nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It would me too. Yeah.
It's a struggle because I want them to be like me, but they're their own. They're sweetest boys ever. They've got this massive heart. They're super sweet. They're empathetic to people.
Yeah.
Whereas my daughter, just like fucking me, bro. Like, and she's a diehard competitor.
At least you got one you can do that with.
As a daughter, we'll take it. I just take it. I'm grateful for just having the opportunity to be in their life.
What's her name?
Aria.
Love it.
Yep.
Dude, Luke, thank you so much for being here, man. This was awesome. Like, this was my most fun interview that I've done since we've been here. Like, I really appreciate you. So the way we actually end every episode, though, is that I always give the floor back to the guests for the last 2 minutes to wrap up anything that they felt like we didn't solve, that we didn't cover, anything like that you want to make sure that you leave the listeners with.
So thank you for that. So we talked about the mess. We didn't talk about like what I've done with myself since then. So I just want to tell everybody that's listening or watching that every single person that's listening and watching, you all have the opportunity to change your life. You all have the opportunity to make millions of dollars. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you can receive. I'm a firm believer in that. That's how I've changed my life. And so I went from eating out of a dumpster to have $1 million in the bank and a net worth of $10 million, right? I mean, that's a direct result of just changing the mindset. And my biggest recommendation would read fucking books, get close to people that are successful, hang out with the people that are successful, and get uncomfortable. Get fucking super uncomfortable where it makes you cringe, because that will stimulate growth.
And all of those things are free. You can fucking read for free. I mean, you can go to the fucking library if you don't want to buy a goddamn book because you're that poor, right?
100%.
Like, the only thing that's not free is maybe joining a group to get in with somebody.
Well, you can still fucking put yourself in positions around successful people.
Yes.
And the quickest way to success is to find someone that has the success that you want and fucking pick their brain. Get with, how did you do it?
Go do free shit for them, and they'll fucking help you.
How can I serve you?
Yep.
What can I do for you? Can I get you a coffee? Can I be your assistant? And then just give me some nuggets.
Yes.
Ultimately, I've always wanted to find somebody like that. I'm finding more and more people like that in my life today. But, the biggest takeaway for me is like reading books, dude. Books have literally changed my life. Books have given me a new belief system. They've given me a new take on life as a direct result with just books, dude. I fucking study. I'm always reading 2 books at once, and I listen to books.
There's an ongoing joke for the old circle members, because I never read. And so, do you know Skip Kingery? So Skip was one of the original guys in the circle, and so Skip and I are kind of like, we were like the two outsiders in the group. Like, we were the fucking drug guys and the got in trouble guys, and you know what I mean? Didn't go to church, you know, didn't grow up in that world, like none of that. And so it's kind of like me and Skip against, you know, everybody else. And there was this ongoing joke. They're like, well, we're going to read this book. And I'm like, motherfucker, I don't read. You know, I don't read. And then all of a sudden, like a year and a half later, I'm fucking reading books. I wrote 3 books. Like, you know, like there's this whole thing, and it just changed. And it's funny how that one little mind shift can completely change the trajectory of what you're doing just by the simple effort of reading a book to better yourself.
Well, here's the thing. So someone writes their life story, right? So Warren Buffett, go fucking read his life story. It's maybe 500, 600 pages. You find out what he's achieved and his struggles that he's been through in life in 500 fucking pages, bro.
Right.
And that one little thing that you read in there can change your entire perspective on life. And they can give you new information and make new decisions, gives you a new vantage point so that now you can change your life. And so the most powerful thing that I've ever had is books.
Yeah.
It's been my mentor. I've learned from the fucking best people on the planet because I read their book.
Right.
I mean, like, people are looking for mentors. If you can't find someone that's achieving the success that you want, find a book of someone that's achieved that stuff and fucking read it. Do yourself a favor, read it.
There's so many free resources out there.
Yeah, dude.
It's so many free.
But even if it's not fucking free, it's $10, $12.
Yes.
Fucking, you can go.
Don't be a lazy.
Side.
Don't be a lazy fuck.
Spend $12 fucking on a book, dude. It'll be the best investment of your life.
Yeah.
Better than a fucking college education.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I'll second that. Luke, thank you so fucking much for being here.
Appreciate you, man.
I'm just so happy that I got to know you better. I hope that we are able to utilize this and turn it into a longer friendship and get to know each other even better. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Please share, like, subscribe. I don't have any fucking sponsors, so I pay for all this shit myself. So we're trying to get Zyn. So Zyn, for all of your nicotine needs. My favorite one is cinnamon. What's yours?
Never seen the cinnamon ones.
No, they're most delicious. Yeah, you'll love cinnamon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Come back, watch the next one and the next one and the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, everybody, to be authentic. Or get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic.